Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Let's see, who are we missing? Missing a few. Laura's here. Nate is not yet. Brandon is. I feel like Dylan hasn't been here like all week. A little concerned. Andre's here. Elijah is here. Jemiah. Trinae. Kat is not. Nevaeh. No Charlotte yet. No Riley. No Tiana, and Bernaya is here. We'll give everybody just another minute. So we're still getting some people in. There's Nate. I'm gonna go ahead and get up our first thing that we're gonna be doing. Charlotte, Riley, Tiana. Oh, today's Tiana's birthday. Maybe she's just not coming to class because she's celebrating. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit more about imagery. The other day we looked at the imagery with the sea creatures and we could see the difference in how the imagery determines the attitude. And we saw the comparison of the one with sea creatures that were disgusting and put across a disgusted attitude as opposed to more admiring with all the positive imagery about the colors and everything. So the imagery that we're going to look at today is pretty different. I think it's sort of interesting. This looks longer, but it's really not. She's in Dubai. Surely not. That would be cool though. Sorry, I'm checking my text, but my mom has COVID. Like she's okay, but she has COVID and she was just updating me. Okay. I'm gonna be jealous if Tiana's in Dubai. Okay, so the imagery we're looking at today is pretty different, but we're gonna consider this some musical infusion. I'm gonna go ahead and look at this first question before I read the passage. This passage has to do with drums and different type of drums. So I'm going to read it out loud and think about how the author creates the auditory imagery of drumming. Usually when we think about imagery, we're thinking about visual, but it can be any of the senses. Sometimes it's the way something sounds. When we were writing the sentences about the animals, one from a positive tone and one from a negative tone, I thought about like smell, because like a dog can smell really gross if it's dirty, and some of you guys wrote about that. But auditory, how do we show imagery through an auditory means? And this is going to be a good example. So in other words, how do the words imitate the sounds they represent? So here's the passage. And now nothing but drums, a battery of drums, the conga drums jamming out in a descarga, and the drummers lifting their heads and shaking under some kind of spell. There's rain drums like pitter patter, but 100 times faster. And then slamming the door drums and dropping the bucket drums, kicking the car fender drums. then circus drums, then coconuts falling out of the trees and thumping against the ground drums, then lion skin drums, then the whacking of a hand against a wall drums, the beating of a pillow drums, heavy stones against a wall drums, then the thickest forest tree trunks pounding drums, and then the mountain rumble drums, then the little birds learning to fly drums, and the big birds alighting on a rooftop and fanning their immense wings drums. That's kind of hard to read, actually. But what does this author do to create the auditory image of drumming and to imitate the sound of drumming?
Stepping on something, right?
Stepping on something. Yeah, there are some examples of stepping on things. Yeah. All these different types of sounds. Someone in my earlier class, this is the only thing I do that's similar between your class and another one, but these bell ringers I'm doing with my AP class as well. And someone pointed out that whereas usually if you're doing like drum sounds, you tend to kind of rely on like automatopoeia stuff, like bada bada ba, or pow, something like that. But they're creating these sounds through images that we recognize, and like we know what dropping a bucket sounds like, we know what whacking a hand against a wall sounds like, and those two things aren't similar. So it's really interesting to see the progression of the different types of drums and the different sounds of drums. He also says then 8 times in this passage. I mean, you can see here, like then circus drums, then coconuts falling out of the tree, then lion skin, then whacking of a hand, 8 times, which is a lot for such a small passage. What is that repetition? How does that contribute to the auditory image of drumming? The then this, then this, then this. Any ideas? Y'all can put it in the chat too if you'd prefer. No ideas? Okay, this is what made me think of, and let me know if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But when I was in elementary school in like music class, we used to do this rainstorm thing. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Where like first you snap your fingers to imitate like small rain, and then you start doing this and it's a little bit heavier, and then you start doing that and it's a little bit heavier. Did y'all ever do that?
No.
You've never done that? It's so fun. Once we have everybody back here, we're going to do it in the room together, just because it's a totally different effect when a lot of people are doing it as opposed to just like me sitting here snapping my fingers. But it kind of made me think of that because it's all percussive, but it's a different sound with each thing. So it's almost a progression of like, first it was these like little drums and then these heavier drums, and just hearing this like sense of progression. And in the chat someone said they did it in kindergarten. I was probably, I don't know if I was in kindergarten, but I was in elementary school for sure. Oh, the sheet metal thing where you like wave it around and it makes the sound, is that what that is? I think, yeah. Okay, so this is just a really cool example of auditory imagery, which I think can be one of the more difficult ones to do if you're trying to like appeal to the different senses. Visual is the easiest for sure. I feel like smell and taste are fairly easy because you could have like really lovely aromatic smells or tastes, or you could go the other way and be like completely disgusted by whatever you're smelling or tasting. And touch, I don't really, I'm trying to think of like a negative example of touch. I guess if you're just like touching something gross and like slimy, that could be a thing. But I think auditory is maybe the hardest one to do, just because it's kind of hard to like classify what we're hearing. Like either it's pleasant or it's not, but how do we go any further than that? And this is a really good example. They're specifying what all these different sounds sound like. And if you think about like special effects sounds, I feel like describing special effects sounds is a good way to think about auditory imagery, like the slow creak of an old door or something like that. So for tomorrow, and we're not going to worry about this right now, but you can go ahead and be thinking about it. You're going to write a paragraph in which you capture 2 different sounds at this as a sporting event. I'm going to change it when I post it on Canvas and also add like a music event or maybe even more than that, just because I think I would be hard pressed to write about 2 different sounds at a sporting event because I don't go to them very often. And in your paragraph, you're going to try to imitate the sounds themselves with your words. Like it says, you're not going to worry about correct grammar or anything, just focus on creating that vivid auditory image. So be thinking about that for tomorrow. Okay, so tonight your slides are due, and only one person has turned it in so far, which is fine because it's not due until tonight. But that being said, I know we had yesterday to work on stuff and several people did get some things turned in, which is great. Do you feel like it would be beneficial to have this class period just to work on and finish your presentations or your slides?
That would help a lot.
That would help a lot. Okay. I'm good with that then. I want y'all to make sure that you have enough time and we can start new stuff tomorrow. Yes. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, if you guys want to stay and like show me your projects and make sure that you're on the right track, or if you have any questions, you're welcome to stay. If you would prefer to leave the call and finish on your own, that's also fine. I am going to go ahead and turn my video and mic off, but if you guys stay, just let me know if you need me or if you have any questions.
Have a blessed day, Miss McClellan.
You too, Jemiah. See you tomorrow.
All right.